Now, JToH has some pretty bad towers that got put into the game, and while I consider the whole game to be, pretty bad nowadays, there are a few towers that are so bad it's worth crushing the self-esteem of the people who made them. And helping me with this video is the much more popular FuzzyStorm, or you may know him as FuzzyStorm123. Now, I tried to contact him with helping, but at first he was, a little bit hard to work with, but he eventually came around. Now, before we start off, I have to mention that none of this is opinion-based. I'm objectively right about everything, and if you disagree with me, then you are objectively wrong! Disclaimer, this is a joke. This is a Roblox game. It really doesn't matter how good a tower is, and the fact anyone managed to even complete a tower is more than anything I've ever done with my life. Anyways, we'll be starting off by looking at the worst tower within Ring 1, that being Thanos Tower. I actually haven't beaten this one myself, so I'm gonna let FuzzyStorm take over for me.
So the first major issue with Thanos Tower is that it's god-awfully repetitive. If you've at least played 30 minutes worth of this tower, you can definitely tell what I'm talking about. Floor 2 is quite literally 90% tightropes. The next major thing here is difficulty spikes. This tower's difficulty is more inconsistent than my upload schedule. You have floors 1 through 5, which are literally remorseless, and then you get floors like 6 and 9, which are so much harder than the rest of the tower. I'm really not a fan of this tower, but it's not the worst thing ever made.
Personally, I've made it to floor 4, and I never intend to make it further. So let's just move on to Tower of Friendly Jumps. Now, this tower is repetitive, but it also has the pair floor.
The pairs look like your chin.
Anyways, Tower of Fatness also has this problem, but it's just 3 times as wide. Some could say Tower of Hand Sweating falls into this category of repetitiveness, but I actually don't mind that tower, and I don't consider it one of the worst towers in game. But while we're on the topic of repetitiveness, let's talk about Tower of Great Displeasure. This tower just has the same repetitive jumps over and over and over again for 45 damn minutes. Previously, this tower was known as the longest tower in-game, but honestly, I just can't find anything to like about it. Though, it is built pretty well, I'll give them that. Now, this pair of steeples is what kept me from beating Arcane Area for the longest time. They aren't poorly made, they aren't even bad, I just cannot seem to have fun out of them. Besides on Witch Calamity, like those little flip platforms when you jump, I like those. Tower of Twisted Inquisition, it's not even bad. Like, I like how it goes, like, it branches off, it doesn't just go up and down, it goes, like, side to side, it's all around. It's pretty unique for a Ring 6 tower, just like a Citadel Scyther condition. But why is this a challenging? It is so punishing. In the final 2 floors, they just aren't built that well. They're just kind of annoying.
Around the time you'll first be attempting this tower, you will probably be around challenging skill level, so loop failing the pink floor over 10 times in a row is not fun. Trust me, I know from experience.
Oh, and these next 2 towers, you have a lot of experience with, don't you?
Wait, you're not talking about... Ugh, Confusion and Inception. Where do I even start here? Oh, I know. These towers are mind-numbingly infuriating. I find it hard to believe that someone built towers like these and they got into the game. I guess that's just how standards were for towers back then, but I still find it baffling that thin stud spam, traps, GBJs, and unindicated conveyors were an acceptable form of gameplay back then. I don't really have too much to say about these other than they're unacceptingly bad, but I respect the creators' efforts to actually make a functional tower out of these gimmicks because I probably couldn't do so myself. Impossible Movement also fits into this category of unacceptingly bad, simply because it decides to push physics to their absolute limits. If you've made it to around insane skill level, you should know that Roblox physics aren't particularly your friend here. This tower decides to take advantage of that knowledge and do something absolutely vile with it. This tower consists of so many small studs to stand on, ladders thinner than 1 stud width, and slanted platforms. There's absolutely no tower that should ever take inspiration from this one.
Now, while I consider almost everything in Forgotten Ridge to be boring, I don't consider them bad towers. They aren't poorly built. Like, they're just kind of boring for me to play. Now, with this next tower, oh, that's a different story. Now, with Tower of Linophobia, it is just tightropes everywhere. Tightropes everywhere. The gameplay is only tightropes. I don't know who thought this would be a good idea. The gameplay doesn't flow well either. Now, while saying that, I kind of like this tower. I don't know what it is, but I find tightrope gameplay to be somewhat fun. So while this tower, I can admit, is not good, it is only made out of tightropes, I kind of enjoy it, but I can at least admit that the gameplay does not flow well in this tower. Just like how this transition doesn't flow well into Tower of Funky Grooves. Don't get me wrong, hold up. This is gonna give me some hate, but this tower is built phenomenally well. Like, this tower is really nice, the music choice, amazing. The gameplay just kind of makes me mad. I don't even know what it is about it. The gameplay just hits a certain part of my brain that makes me rage every time on this tower, and I don't know what it is about it. This tower is built so good. I don't even want you getting an impression. Like, this is not one of the worst towers in game. It just makes me mad, and I felt like I needed to say it. Anyways, I think we've touched on most of the towers I want to talk about today. So
Wait, we haven't got to talk about Tower of Dispersed Ruins, Tower of Augmented Misery, Tower of a Depressing Future, Tower of Infuriation.
I think that's enough from that guy. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next.